The annals of Western philosophy trace their beginnings to a curious mind in the bustling city of Miletus, a man known as Thales. A pre-Socratic thinker of the 6th century BCE, Thales' radical ideas shifted the paradigm from mythological narratives to systematic reasoning. To appreciate Thales' groundbreaking insights, it's crucial to explore both his origins and the historical milieu from which he emerged. Nestled on the western coast of Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, Miletus was a prominent Ionian city, a locus of trade, culture, and intellectual discourse. Its strategic location allowed it to flourish as a commercial hub, connecting the Aegean world with the civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt. This confluence of cultures made Miletus a vibrant crucible for ideas, a place where different worldviews met, merged, and mutated. Thales was both a product and a beneficiary of this dynamic environment. The cosmopolitan nature of Miletus provided him with access to a plethora of ideas, especially those from ancient Egypt and Babylon, which profoundly influenced Greek thought. Before Thales, explanations about the natural world were primarily rooted in mythos, tales of gods, heroes, and supernatural forces. These narratives, though rich in cultural and spiritual significance, were not systematic or grounded in empirical observations. Thales, in a dramatic departure from tradition, initiated the shift from mythos to logos. Instead of attributing natural phenomena to divine actions, he sought underlying principles or laws that governed them. This was not merely a new way of thinking, it was a revolution in human thought. Thales began the transition from accepting stories as explanations to demanding reasons rooted in observation and logic. Historians and scholars speculate that Thales might have been influenced by Egyptian and Babylonian knowledge systems, given Miletus's extensive trade connections. The structured religious practices, advanced architectural feats, and early astronomical observations of these ancient civilizations could have provided foundational ideas for Thales' philosophical inquiries. It is believed that Thales traveled to Egypt, where he learned about geometry and land measurement techniques. Such experiences would have exposed him to a systematic approach to knowledge, fostering his belief in the possibility of finding unifying principles underlying the apparent chaos of nature. The legacy begins Thales' assertion that water was the fundamental substance of everything might seem simplistic to the modern mind, but in the context of his time, it was groundbreaking. By proposing that a single, observable element could explain the diversity of nature, he was challenging the status quo. He was suggesting that the universe, in all its complexity, operated on knowable principles. Thales' significance in the history of philosophy cannot be overstated. While his theories were eventually superseded by more sophisticated ideas, his methodological approach endured. In Thales, we see the embryonic stages of rational inquiry, the beginnings of a tradition that would shape Western thought for millennia to come. Understanding Thales requires acknowledging the vibrant, complex tapestry of Miletus's historical context, which fueled the intellectual fires of the first philosopher. In the history of Western thought, few ideas have been as radical, captivating, and profoundly influential as Thales of Miletus's proposition that water is the fundamental substance underlying the universe. At a time when mythological narratives dominated explanations for natural phenomena, Thales, the first of the pre-Socratic philosophers, presented an idea rooted in observation and reason. This essay delves into Thales' assertion of water as the essential principle, seeking to understand its origins, implications, and its lasting impact on the philosophical discourse. Thales lived in a world where natural occurrences were predominantly explained through tales of gods and their interactions. Thunder was the anger of Zeus, and the changing seasons were the result of Demeter's grief for her daughter Persephone. However, Thales attempted a break from this tradition, turning instead to the natural world for explanations. By positing water as the primary substance, he replaced divine whim with a consistent, material principle. This was not just innovative, it was revolutionary. One might wonder why Thales, among all things, chose water. Several factors could have influenced this decision. One might wonder why Thales, among all things, chose water. Several factors could have influenced this decision. First, Thales would have observed that water was central to life. Plants needed rain to grow. Humans and animals required water for survival. The very essence of life seemed intertwined with this liquid. Second, water possesses the unique ability to exist in multiple states: solid, ice, liquid, and gas, vapor. This transformative quality might have suggested to Thales that water was a dynamic and fundamental substance capable of becoming all things. Finally, Thales believed that the Earth floated on water and that earthquakes were the result of disturbances on this watery layer. This cosmological view further solidified water's central role in his philosophical musings. Thales' assertion has deeper philosophical implications than might appear at first glance. By suggesting a single substance as the foundation for everything, he introduced the concept of a unifying principle. The myriad forms and phenomena in the world could be traced back to one essential reality. This search for unity amidst diversity became a cornerstone of subsequent philosophical inquiries. Furthermore, by grounding his theory in a tangible element, Thales laid the groundwork for an empirical approach to understanding the universe. While he did not employ the scientific method as we know it, his emphasis on observation and reason paved the way for future scientists and philosophers. Thales' idea was the first in a series of pre-Socratic attempts to identify the primary substance of the universe. After him, Anaximenes posited air, while Heraclitus championed fire. Each of these thinkers built upon or reacted against their predecessors, but the dialogue began with Thales. However, his theory was not without its critics. Later philosophers, especially those like Aristotle, found Thales' ideas lacking. They argued that a single material substance could not account for the diversity and change observed in nature. Despite criticisms, Thales' legacy is undeniable. He shifted the narrative from mythology to reason and began a tradition of inquiry that endures to this day. While Thales' proposition that water is the fundamental substance might seem simplistic or even erroneous to the modern mind, its historical and philosophical significance is profound. Thales did not merely provide an answer, he changed the very nature of the questions being asked. In his focus on water, he initiated a tradition of rational inquiry, emphasizing the need to seek unified, observable, and logical explanations for the mysteries of the cosmos. The story of Thales of Miletus, often heralded as the first philosopher, is replete with tales of innovative thinking and groundbreaking achievements, particularly in the realms of astronomy and geometry. Not merely content with speculative philosophy, Thales displayed a keen interest in the empirical world around him, employing observation and reason to understand the mysteries of the cosmos and the principles of space. This essay seeks to shed light on Thales' contributions to astronomy and geometry and to underline his role as a pioneering figure in the scientific tradition. Thales' interest in astronomy was both profound and pragmatic. Miletus, his city-state, was a bustling port, making navigation an essential skill. For sailors, the stars were invaluable navigational aids. Thales recognized the importance of the celestial bodies for these practical purposes, but he also sought to understand their underlying patterns and principles. One of the most famous anecdotes regarding Thales' astronomical pursuits is his prediction of a solar eclipse around 585 BCE. While the exact methods he used to predict this remain a subject of debate, the very fact that he could anticipate such an event demonstrates his advanced understanding of celestial patterns. Moreover, Thales identified the constellation Ursa Minor, which was beneficial for navigation, as its position is more consistent throughout the year compared to Ursa Major. He also posited that the moon derived its light from the sun, an idea that would later be expanded upon and confirmed by other thinkers. Thales' ventures into geometry were both innovative and influential. Some legends suggest he traveled to Egypt, a civilization renowned for its architectural and mathematical prowess. Whether or not this is true, Thales undoubtedly introduced several geometrical principles that have since become foundational. His known geometric postulates have to do with circles, triangles, and measurement. Thales is credited with the idea that a circle is bisected by its diameter, which means that the diameter divides the circle into two equal parts. He demonstrated that if two triangles have two angles and one side in common, the triangles are congruent. Finally, Thales used geometry for practical applications. A famous anecdote recounts how he measured the height of the pyramids by using their shadows at the moment when the length of his own shadow was equal to his height. By laying these foundational principles, Thales not only demonstrated the abstract beauty of geometry but also its tangible, real-world applications. Perhaps the most striking aspect of Thales' work in both astronomy and geometry is his synthesis of observation and reason. While he valued empirical data, the positions of stars, the lengths of shadows, he also sought to understand the universal principles underlying these observations. Instead of merely collecting data, Thales wanted to understand the why behind it. The legacy of Thales of Miletus is not confined to a set of theories or postulates. Instead, it lies in the paradigm shift he initiated, a move towards reasoned inquiry, empirical investigation, and the relentless quest for underlying principles. Thales might have been the first in this tradition, but the ripple effects of his thought have permeated millennia, cementing his position as a titan in the pantheon of great thinkers. In Thales, we find the dawn of Western intellectual tradition, the first spark of curiosity that would illuminate the path for countless thinkers and scientists to come.